I was recently reading 2 Samuel chapter 24, and then when I got to, so what happens in 2 Samuel chapter 24 is David does a census against the Lord's will. He counts the Israelites, and God is not happy about it. So God decides to punish him. And after all that punishment is done, he decides that he's going to build an altar to the Lord. So he goes to a certain man to buy the land, and the man tells him that he can have the land. But David tells him in verse 24 that I cannot sacrifice to the Lord something that cost me nothing. And that really got to me. Does my service to God cost me anything? Does your service to God cost you something? Do you feel very comfortable in Christianity? I mean, I'm not saying we should always be uncomfortable, but if you're too comfortable, then I feel like there's a problem. Sacrifice comes in various forms. It can be you staying an extra hour at church every Sunday because you have a responsibility to fulfill. And you making that sacrifice is significant because you could have chosen to just go home and relax and rest. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but that kind of counts as a sacrifice. Like what you're giving to God actually costs you something. You going to church an extra day out of the Sunday or Saturday, maybe on a Wednesday or a Monday, maybe requires you to buy fuel or spend a little more on Uber, or you going to church in a place where the nearest church is like 2 hours away. That's something that costs you, right? So the question you need to ask yourself is, does your worship to God cost you something? Does your service to God, does your sacrifice to God actually cost you something? Or are you just living a life of comfort and giving God the bare minimum? Are you giving God your all? Does a part of you die as you serve your God? That's what it got me thinking. My life, I've been relaxed for a bit. There are parts of me that do not cost me anything. And it's not something I'm proud of. I think this is something we should talk a bit more on. Maybe though this would just be the first video on it, but I think it should be a conversation. But just make sure that you don't give God something that didn't cost you anything. Otherwise, it's really not a sacrifice.